So this video is called Einstein's Last Thoughts on Unified Field Theory. So I put the question mark because it is really Einstein's last thoughts on unified field theory in book form, i.e. the last thing he wrote in a book about unified field theory, as opposed to last things he might have written on unified field theory in his papers. So first of all, look at in this book, The Private Lives of Albert Einstein by Roger Highfield and Paul Carter. So this is what the book says. His views, which are Einstein, particularly his dogged opposition to quantum theory, had turned him from a creative individual who was ahead of his time into a loner on the scientific sidelines. Einstein told Infeld that his colleagues thought him more of a historic relic than an active scientist. Enfeld later wrote, "It was distressing to see Einstein's isolation and aloofness from the mainstream of physics. On several occasions, this man, probably the greatest physicist in the world, which is Einstein, said to me in Princeton, 'Physicists consider me an old fool, but I am convinced that the future development of physics will depart from the present road.'" So note the old fool issue, and it seems to go back to when Einstein was having debates with Niels Bohr, and Einstein was complaining of the direction that physics was going with in regard to quantum mechanics. But at the end of the day, the physics community went with Niels Bohr and not with Einstein, and that's the sort of thing that led him to being isolated. Einstein rebelled against the quantum mechanics that was being put forward, and the result of that was the physics community mostly ignored Einstein. And it led to things like Einstein saying things like this: "God does not play dice. My God can interpret as the universal laws of physics, etc." And those following Bohr decided Einstein was wrong. So the split was the majority went with Bohr and only a minority going with Einstein. And you got here, as per Wikipedia, after 1930s, progressively fewer scientists worked on classical unification due to the continued development of quantum theoretical descriptions of the non-gravitational fundamental forces of nature and the difficulties encountered in developing a quantum theory of gravity. So what Einstein was working upon was considered classical and non-quantum, and the physicists had decided not to go along with that sort of way of researching, i.e. the money seems to have gone with those prepared to work on quantum mechanics research, and with the unified field theory research there was a lack of funding, hence resulting only a minority of people going with unified field theory research. Highfield and Carter continued to talk on Einstein's unified field theory research. They say the quest for a satisfactory unified field theory continued unabated. When Einstein seemed to be on the right track, he would declare, "This is so simple, God could not have passed it up." However, all his efforts were fundamentally misconceived, according to the physicist who later came to live in his house on Mercer Street. That was by Frank Wilczek, and it's called Swell. Frank Wilczek is prejudiced, biased. He's probably more in line with quantum physics, which Einstein was opposed to and was not wanting to consider going along with classical physics research as being valid. And so he's just prejudiced in believing Einstein was on the wrong tracks. And so what Wilczek says, Einstein was trying to solve the problems of his youth, which had become obsolete. They really were clearly misguided, and no one starting from awareness of the experimental realities of the time would have undertaken that program. It was never ever remotely plausible that the richness of structure that we see around us and the laws of quantum mechanics could emerge just from unifying gravity and electromagnetism. So really he's just stating his prejudice. That's Wilczek stating his prejudice against that sort of thing. Hence another reason why the money goes to people like Wilczek on quantum research, and when it's classical research, well, there's not that much funding. Einstein outlined his ideas on unification in a new appendix for the third edition of his book, The Meaning of Relativity, in 1949. It became a worldwide media event, mainly because of its coincidence with his 70th birthday. The New York Times printed a page of his manuscript under the headline, New Einstein Theory Gives a Master Key to the Universe. In Britain, the Daily Telegraph printed the four equations that set out the heart of the theory. Einstein asked Dukas to tell reporters to come back in 20 years, and Grempel to Hans Albert that the publicity was unwarranted and tasteless. It is an imbecility to put something like that before the public, quite apart from the fact that only a very small minority will understand it, he told his son. So this is the New York Times article. New Einstein Theory Gives a Master Key to Universe. And this is the page on unified field theory. So we go to this book, Einstein, The Meaning of Relativity, where Einstein published seemingly his last attempt at unified field theory. And what we got is the book is translated, presumably translated from Einstein's German into English. Einstein was not that good at English. I have had issues with previous articles by Einstein saying that they haven't been translated properly from German into English. And you see my other videos. Hopefully these translations in this book are better. ? And this is what the book says. This book, originally published in 1922, consisted of the text of Dr. Einstein's Stafford Little Lectures, delivered in May 1921 at Princeton University. And it's interesting to note that the book gets rewritten and extra things added to it. So noting it's rewritten, meaning ? It's revised. There's more of what I talk about in other videos as moving goalposts, making amendments, changing the theory. So how much of that is going on in the original book and then gets rewritten. in later editions. As per Wikipedia, this is what it says about the book, The Meaning of Relativity. It says about the second edition and so forth. In the third edition, Einstein added the Appendix 2 on generalized theory of gravitation, which was substantially revised for the fifth and final edition. So this is still Wikipedia, and it's talking about the Appendix 2, which is really Einstein's ideas on unified field theory. And it says completely revised and renamed Appendix 2 for the fifth and final edition of the Meaning of Relativity book. It's saying it was 1955. Einstein was revising Appendix 2 of his book, and I query that date and on. It seems to me there's never been that much publicity for Einstein's last thoughts of what he published in book form on unified field theory. It's something which gets ignored a lot. It's once again the people, the physics community, decided Einstein's wrong by not accepting quantum physics, and so when Einstein says something about unified field theory, well, it's not something they want to think about. And in this part of the book it tells you it's 1954 when Einstein was saying that, and earlier Wikipedia was saying it was 1955. Einstein is dating his revision changes to Appendix 2 in his unified field theory attempt as 1954. In my view, the whole enterprise of unified field theory research, trying to unify electromagnetism with gravity, was messed up from near the beginning. Special relativity is supposed to deal with electromagnetism, and general relativity was supposed to extend that to gravity. So unified field theory research was an omission that general relativity was not combining itself properly with special relativity, because unified field theory is supposed to be combining electromagnetism with gravity. And as per my other videos, I point out special relativity got messed up when translated from German into English, with the possibility that it was more his wife's theory, so he didn't really know what he was talking about. So all of this, special relativity, general relativity, unified field theory, is built upon Einstein probably not knowing what he's talking about, because it's all coming from his wife's theory, and she was not credited with doing the paper on relativity. And this is what we can infer, but cannot prove absolutely. So it's kind of it looks like Einstein was working from somebody else's theory which he did not properly understand, and it might have been his wife. Finish the end. Thank you.